The morning was quiet. Too quiet for a farm that usually hummed with life. Little Hen stood at the edge of the barn. Her feathers were fluffed against the chill. The first frost had painted the grass white. She blinked. Then she blinked again. Something was missing. She turned her head. She checked the nesting box. She checked the hay pile. She checked the corner where the old wheelbarrow sat, rusting and patient. The last egg was gone. Not broken, not eaten, just gone. Little Hen remembered the egg well. It was the smallest of the clutch. Pale blue, speckled like the sky just before rain. She had tucked it under a fern leaf that morning, thinking it would be safe, thinking the sun would warm it. But the sun had come, and then gone. And now the fern leaf was empty. She let out a soft sound. Not a squawk, more like a question. If you have ever lost something small that mattered, a button, a pebble, a secret you whispered to the ground, you know how Little Hen felt. Her chest felt hollow. Her feet shuffled through the cold grass. She looked up. The farm stretched around her. The barn was brown and red. The pumpkin patch was a mess of orange and green. The garden gate hung open, creaking in the breeze. She would have to search. But first, she needed to know where to start. If you have ever felt that hollow chest, you know why Little Hen had to search. Subscribe to walk with her through the farm, one quiet step at a time. And tell us in the comments, what small thing have you lost and found again? Little Hen walked past the compost pile. The steam rose from it like dragon breath. Worms poked their heads out, then pulled them back in. She wanted to ask them. But worms speak a different language. Slow, underground, full of patience. She walked past the well. The bucket was dry. The rope was frayed. She walked past the scarecrow. Its hat was crooked. Its arms pointed east toward the apple trees, and there, under the biggest apple tree, she saw something, a flash of blue. She ran. Her feet barely touched the ground. It was a feather, blue, speckled, not hers. She stopped. The wind moved through the branches. An apple dropped. Thump. A sound so round and final that it made the whole farm pause. Little Hen picked up the feather. It was warm. It smelled of pine needles and morning breath. She held it in her beak. She did not know what it meant, but she knew it was a sign. Somewhere, the last egg was waiting. She tucked the feather under her wing. She turned toward the orchard. The blue feather was a whisper from the farm itself. Subscribe to stay close to these whispers, to hear what the farm says next. In the comments, tell us what sign you noticed today. Maybe a feather, a sound, a feeling. The orchard was not a place she visited often. The trees were old, their branches twisted like fingers. The ground was soft with fallen leaves from years past. Moss grew on the trunks. The air smelled of rot and sweetness. Little Hen stepped carefully. Her claws sank into the earth. She listened. The farm was full of sounds that usually blended together. The creak of the barn door, the shuffle of cows in the far field, the distant honk of geese heading south. But today, she heard something new. A tiny tap. So faint. So soft. Like a finger knocking on a shell from inside. She stopped. She held her breath. The tap came again. From behind a fallen log, Little Hen pushed through the ferns. The leaves were wet against her chest, the dew soaked through her feathers. And there it was, the last egg. It lay in a bed of moss, cradled by the roots of the oldest apple tree. How it had travelled from the fern leaf to this place, she did not know. Maybe the wind. Maybe a curious mouse. Maybe the earth itself had shifted, and the egg had rolled, slowly, over the course of a whole day, until it found this resting place. The egg was warm. Little Hen touched it with her beak. The shell was smooth. She felt a pulse. Tiny, quick. The egg was still alive. She did not know what would come out of it. She did not know if it would be a chick or something else. The farm kept its secrets, but she knew one thing. This egg had waited for her. It had not cracked. It had not faded. It had stayed whole under the moss and the roots and the watching apple tree. Little Hen gathered the egg against her breast. It fit perfectly in the curve of her feathers. She began to walk home. The sun was lower now. The frost had melted. The grass was wet and green. She passed the compost pile. The worms were gone. She passed the well. The bucket was still dry. She passed the scarecrow. Its shadow was long. When she reached the barn, the other hens were settling in for the night. They clucked softly. They shuffled on their perches. They made room for Little Hen. She climbed up. She settled into her spot. The egg rested against her abdomen, warm and safe. She closed her eyes. The barn smelled of hay and dust and the memory of summer. The other hens breathed in sleep. The wind outside barely whispered. Little Hen did not know what the egg would become. She did not know if the tapping she had heard was the chick inside, trying to say hello, or if it was just her imagination. But she knew one thing. She had found the last egg, and the last egg had found her. In the morning she would see. In the morning the sun would rise and the farm would wake, and the egg would either crack or stay whole. But for now, for this one night, there was only warmth and patience and the soft rhythm of feathers rising and falling. Somewhere in the dark soil of the orchard, the roots of the oldest apple tree reach deeper into the earth. One seed becomes another. The cycle never ends. Little Hen slept, and the egg slept against her heart. The moon rose over the barn. Its light slipped through the cracks in the wooden walls, painting silver lines on the straw. Little Hen shifted. The egg stayed close. She thought about the journey. The cold grass. The fern leaf. The blue feather under the apple tree. Each step had led her here. Each moment had mattered. She remembered the morning before, when she had first laid the egg. It had hurt, a deep, pushing ache that made her whole body tremble. But when she saw the pale blue shell, smooth and perfect, the pain became something else. It became hope. She had tucked the egg under the fern leaf because the sun was warm. She had thought the spot was safe. She had been wrong. But the egg had not blamed her. It had waited. Outside, an owl called, a long, lonely sound that stretched across the fields. Little Hen did not stir. The other hens dreamed. One twitched her foot. Another muttered in her sleep. The barn was full of small sounds. The creak of wood, The shift of straw, the breathing of creatures who trusted the night. Little Hen had never kept an egg this long. Usually the farmer collected them before dusk. He would come with his basket, his hands gentle, his voice low. He would say thank you, or something that sounded like thank you, and carry the eggs to the kitchen. But this egg had been missed. This egg had been forgotten. And now it was hers. She felt the warmth spread through her chest. It was not the warmth of the egg alone. It was the warmth of something found, something chosen, something that had waited for her through frost and dew and dark. The barn door creaked. Little Hen opened one eye. A mouse poked its head through a gap in the wall. Its whiskers twitched. It saw Little Hen, saw the egg, and froze. Little Hen did not move. The mouse studied her. Its nose bobbed. Its ears swiveled. Then it nodded. A tiny, almost invisible nod. And it disappeared back into the wall. Little Hen closed her eye again. The night deepened. She dreamed of the orchard, the twisted branches, the fallen leaves, the moss that held the egg like a cushion. She dreamed of the blue feather. It had been a message. She knew that now, a message from the farm itself, telling her to keep going, to trust the path, to follow the signs. She had followed, and she had found. When she woke, the first light was grey against the horizon. The rooster crowed, a sharp, clear sound that cut through the silence. Little Hen stretched her neck. Her wings ached. Her legs were stiff, but the egg was still warm against her belly. She looked down at it. The surface was smooth. The colour was the same pale blue as a winter sky. And then she felt it. A tiny movement. A shift. The egg trembled. Little Hen held her breath. A crack appeared, thin as a hair, running from the top of the shell to the middle. The crack widened. A piece of shell fell away, and inside a small beak poked through. It was wet. It was grey. It was the smallest thing Little Hen had ever seen. She did not move. She did not breathe. The beak disappeared, then reappeared. Another crack, another piece of shell. A tiny eye looked out, dark and round. It blinked. Little Hen felt her heart beat faster. The chick pushed. It pushed with its whole body, its chest, its legs, its beak. The shell split in two, and the chick fell into Little Hen's feathers, wet and tired and utterly alive. She pressed her beak to its down. The chick was warm. It smelled of the inside of the egg. A smell like rain on stone, like the first moment of spring. The chick peeped. A small, thin sound. A sound that said, I am here. I made it. Little Hen gathered it closer. She spread her feathers over its back. She felt its tiny heartbeat against her own. The other hens stirred. They looked at the chick. They blinked. One hen clucked softly. Another tilted her head. They understood. The barn filled with light. The sun was rising over the orchard. The frost was melting. The rooster was crowing again, but this time his voice was gentler, as if he knew what had happened. Little Hen looked at the chick. It was not a hen chick. It was not a rooster chick. It was something else. Its feathers were not yellow like a farm chick. They were grey, tipped with white. Its eyes were not black, but dark brown, almost purple. Little Hen did not know what it was, but she knew it was hers. This moment, where the egg becomes a chick, is what the waiting was for. Subscribe to keep watching the farm's quiet miracles unfold. And in the comments, what name would you give this little one? Across the farm, in the kitchen, the farmer's wife opened the curtains. She saw the barn. She saw the light. She felt a warmth she could not name. She turned to the stove. She lit the fire. She put the kettle on. The farm was waking. And in the barn, Little Hen pressed her beak to the chick's head. The chick peeped again, and Little Hen answered with a sound so soft that only the chick could hear.